Have you ever noticed how the word oatmeal seems to have an almost magical glow? The moment someone mentions it, an image of a warm, comforting bowl, a symbol of care and health, comes to mind. For many, especially after age 60, oatmeal has become synonymous with longevity. Doctors, nutritionists, and even neighbors recommend it as if it were the key to a long life, shielded from disease. It's not uncommon to see headlines praising its benefits: fiber that helps the heart, grains that cleanse the arteries, a natural shield against glucose spikes. And all of this is true, but only up to a point. The problem isn't the oatmeal itself, but the way it's used. Imagine someone believing that just putting any type of oats on their plate, mixing it with whatever they have at home, is enough to guarantee good health. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see being repeated. The very food that could be a powerful ally can, in practice, become a silent risk to the body. It's like holding a sharp sword: it can protect you, but if used carelessly, it can cause harm. Many don't realize that small slips in preparation, combination, and even the time of day they eat can completely undermine oatmeal's benefits. This becomes even more delicate when we think about those over 60. At this stage, the body doesn't react the same way it used to. Metabolism slows down, digestion requires more attention, the risk of inflammation increases, and nutrient balance becomes vital. A mistake that seemed harmless in youth can now have real consequences: a spike in blood sugar, loss of important minerals, joint pain, or even digestive discomfort that drains energy and vitality. That's why understanding these details makes all the difference. The curious thing is that almost no one talks about these mistakes. Popular discourse treats oatmeal as foolproof, as if it's impossible to go wrong with it. But that's not quite right. I've seen seniors who strive to maintain a healthy diet but, unknowingly, make one mistake after another with their oatmeal. In the end, they don't understand why they still feel tired, have high cholesterol, or struggle to manage their weight. The food is right, the method of use is not. And this opens the door for an urgent warning: eating oatmeal is not just a choice, it's also a responsibility. This initial critical look is essential. Not to demonize oatmeal, but to show that, like any natural remedy, it requires knowledge. Throughout this journey, we will reveal the 10 most common and dangerous mistakes that turn a golden grain into a burden on your health. These mistakes are so frequent that you may have already made some of them without even realizing it. And believe me, understanding this can be the turning point between reaping the benefits and accumulating problems. If you're already surprised by this introduction alone, imagine the impact of learning every detail we're about to explore. This information can protect your heart, your gut, and even your mind. And if you found this warning important, take a moment to reflect. That way, more people your age can also discover how to avoid these hidden slips. Because what comes next will open your eyes to the first of the 10 most treacherous mistakes related to oatmeal. For decades, we were told that the secret to a long life was starting the day with a bowl of oatmeal. Health magazines, advertisements, and even packaging feature the image of a perfect breakfast: a full bowl of light flakes, colorful fruits on top, and a smile on the face of the person eating it. But there's an inconvenient detail that almost no one mentions: not all oatmeal is the same, and not every preparation is healthy. The idea that any type of oatmeal works for everyone is a dangerous myth, especially for those over 60. The most common example is instant oatmeal. Convenient, quick, and easy to prepare, it seems tailor-made for a busy routine. But a closer look reveals hidden traps: added sugars, artificial syrups, flavorings, and even excess sodium. Instead of helping to control blood sugar, as more whole grain flakes do, these options have the opposite effect: a rapid spike in blood sugar, followed by a sharp crash. The result? Feeling hungry again soon, sudden fatigue, and a burden on the pancreas, an organ that already works more slowly with age. This roller coaster effect isn't just uncomfortable. For those living with prediabetes, insulin resistance, or already struggling with their weight, it can be devastating. Instead of protecting the heart and arteries, ultra-processed oatmeal fuels silent inflammation, which wears down joints, accelerates aging, and opens the door to chronic diseases. All of this in the name of the convenience sold on the package. How many of us have fallen for this temptation, believing we're choosing health when, in reality, we're putting disguised sugar on the table? Another common mistake is believing that the creamier, the better. Some people prepare their oatmeal with condensed milk, ready-made chocolate mixes, or even artificial creams. The combination might be tasty, but it turns the dish into a dessert disguised as breakfast. This seemingly harmless habit contributes to high triglyceride levels, increased abdominal fat, and a greater risk of cardiovascular disease. Small details that, when added up, become a real problem. But perhaps the most important point is to understand what happens in the long run. The body, especially after 60, no longer handles sharp spikes and crashes in energy well. This constant instability harms not only physical health but also mental well-being. Studies show that imbalances in blood sugar are linked to memory lapses, mood swings, and even difficulty concentrating. In other words, what seemed like just a minor detail in your breakfast could directly affect your vitality and mental clarity. The question that remains is simple: is it worth trading minutes of convenience for years of health? The answer seems obvious, but routine often pushes us toward quick choices. That's where the danger lies. Understanding the myth of the healthy breakfast is the first step to avoiding the traps packaged in colorful boxes. And this is just the beginning. Because if the hidden sugars in instant versions are already a problem, there's a second, even more common mistake, the one you might be adding to your own bowl without realizing it. After learning about the problem with instant versions, comes another, even more treacherous mistake: what you yourself put in the bowl. Many people believe that to make oatmeal tastier, all you need to do is add a spoonful of sugar, a generous drizzle of honey, or even that golden syrup that seems harmless. The reasoning is simple: if oatmeal is healthy, a little bit of sweet won't hurt. But that little bit often turns into a lot, and what was meant to be a functional dish ends up becoming a disguised dessert. The body feels this excess immediately. Refined sugar, for example, enters the bloodstream in minutes, causing a sharp rise in glucose. For a younger body, this is already not ideal. But for someone over 60, the impact can be even more intense, overloading the pancreas and promoting insulin resistance. Over time, this habit increases the chances of developing type 2 diabetes, accelerates fat accumulation in the liver, and amplifies inflammatory processes that silently attack the heart, joints, and even memory.
Many think they're making a better choice by swapping white sugar for honey, brown sugar, or agave syrup. Although these are less processed options, they still contain high concentrations of fructose or sucrose, which produce the same harmful effects when consumed in excess. The illusion of a natural sweetener can be dangerous. It's like putting a mask on an enemy. It's still there, just disguised. The truth is that after a certain age, the body becomes less tolerant of excess, and every extra spoonful can represent a real burden. Furthermore, sugar doesn't just harm your blood. It also competes with important nutrients. High levels of circulating glucose interfere with the absorption of minerals like magnesium and zinc, which are crucial for strong bones, an efficient immune system, and even quality of sleep. It's a cascade effect. You seek energy, but the result is fragility. You seek pleasure, but you end up stealing vitality. A poorly planned bowl of oatmeal can, unintentionally, contribute to premature aging. The good news is that there's a way out. Smart substitutions can completely transform the experience. Fresh fruits with a low glycemic index, like apples, peaches, or berries, sweeten naturally and also provide fiber and antioxidants. Cinnamon powder, in addition to adding flavor, helps balance blood sugar levels. Even a pinch of pure cocoa can be an ally, providing energy without the dangerous spikes. These are small adjustments that make a world of difference in practice. When you learn to identify the trap of hidden sugar, you gain autonomy. You don't have to give up flavor, but you can achieve balance. And that balance is the true secret to enjoying oatmeal without fear. However, there's another aspect that often goes unnoticed. The problem isn't always the sweet stuff. Sometimes, even savory accompaniments can become silent saboteurs of your health. When we think about mistakes related to oatmeal, our minds immediately jump to sugar. But there's a detail that's even less discussed: the savory or fatty side dishes that seem innocent but can turn a healthy meal into a real burden for the body. After all, oatmeal is like a blank canvas. What you add to it determines whether the result will be a masterpiece for your health or a picture full of excess and hidden risks. Many people, for example, like to have their morning oatmeal with white bread, crackers, or soft rolls. The justification is simple: I need something to go with it. But what happens in practice is an accumulation of simple, rapidly absorbed carbohydrates. This means an immediate overload on your blood sugar, followed by that sharp energy crash that leads to early hunger. The body, which should be receiving slow-release fuel, finds itself flooded with a rush of sugar. The result: a higher risk of weight gain, inflammation, and metabolic imbalance. Another common mistake is the use of ultra-processed margarines and vegetable spreads. They contain artificial fats, often trans or hydrogenated, which directly attack the cardiovascular system. For a more mature body, which has already accumulated small plaque deposits in the arteries over the years, this is like adding fuel to a silent fire. Instead of protecting the heart, the bowl of oatmeal ends up becoming an accomplice to heart problems. And the worst part is that this habit is passed down from generation to generation as if it were normal. There are also those who try to enhance their oatmeal with condensed milk, ready-made chocolate powders, processed hazelnut spreads, or even toppings sold as healthy. The industry knows that the palate craves sweetness, and so it offers versions that promise convenience but hide empty calories, refined oils, and preservatives. The result is an explosive combination: glucose spikes, an excess of bad fat, and a dish that, on paper, should be an ally for the heart and digestion, but in practice only increases risks. And it's not just what you add on top. Even what accompanies it on the plate or on the table can compromise it. Oatmeal with artificial juices, sodas, or excessively sweetened coffee is a classic example. The entire meal loses its balance, turning into a disguised attack on the body. These are small daily habits that, accumulated over months and years, can take a heavy toll on energy, memory, and well-being. What needs to be clear is that oatmeal alone is not enough to protect your health. It's the overall dietary context that determines whether it will be an ally or a trap. Thinking about the combination is essential. Fresh fruits, seeds, plain yogurt, or even scrambled eggs can create a balance of fiber, protein, and healthy fats. This contrast makes all the difference, providing stable energy, prolonged satiety, and complete nutrition. It is in this harmony that the true power of oatmeal lies. But there's another little-known point. It's not enough to choose the right side dishes. Even the way you prepare the oatmeal can change its nutritional value, and if done incorrectly, can rob your body of essential minerals. Many people believe that to reap the benefits of oatmeal, you just need to grab it, toss it in a bowl, and eat it any which way. But there's a detail that's almost never mentioned. The preparation method completely changes the impact it will have on your body. Eating raw or undercooked oats might seem convenient, but it can hide a silent risk, especially for those over 60 who need to pay extra attention to every nutrient. Oats, like other grains, contain substances called phytates. Simply put, they act as a natural defense for the plant, but in our bodies, they can act as mineral thieves. Calcium, iron, and zinc, so important for strong bones, an active immune system, and daily energy, get trapped and are not fully absorbed. It's as if you're eating the right food, but part of what it offers slips through your fingers, never reaching where it's needed. Over time, this small detail can contribute to bone weakening, frequent fatigue, and even greater susceptibility to infections. Another point is digestibility. Improperly prepared oats can be harder on the stomach and intestines, causing discomfort, gas, and a feeling of bloating. This happens because proper cooking breaks down tougher fibers and neutralizes some of these anti-nutrients. When the preparation is rushed, that protection is lost. What should be a light and energizing breakfast can turn into an uncomfortable wait for the rest of the day. Fortunately, the solution is simple. A crucial step is to soak the oat flakes in water for a few hours before consuming them. This process significantly reduces phytates, making it easier to absorb the minerals. Another strategy is to cook the oats well, either in milk or water, until they are soft and creamy. This care not only improves the taste but also transforms the grain into something more body-friendly. It's an ancient practice, passed down through generations, that now has scientific backing. And there's an additional benefit. Proper preparation increases the availability of compounds called beta-glucans, special fibers that help reduce bad cholesterol and stabilize blood glucose levels. In other words, the simple act of cooking it right enhances the very effects we seek when choosing oatmeal. It's a small detail, but it multiplies the results. This is the kind of knowledge that turns a common habit into a real health tool. But the care doesn't stop there.
Because even when cooked correctly, oatmeal can still cause digestive issues if consumed in excess or without some important adjustments. And that's the next warning we need to understand. Even when prepared correctly, oatmeal can present a silent challenge: digestion. Many seniors report a feeling of bloating, gas, or abdominal discomfort after eating this grain. It's not uncommon to blame other foods, but in many cases, the oatmeal itself may be responsible. This doesn't mean it's a villain, but rather that its consumption needs to be adjusted to truly become an ally. The secret lies in the fiber. Oatmeal is very rich in it, especially in what are known as soluble fibers, which turn into a kind of gel in the intestine. This gel helps regulate blood sugar and reduce cholesterol, but it can also slow down the digestive process, leading to that heavy stomach feeling. On the other hand, insoluble fibers, present in smaller amounts, can speed up intestinal transit and when consumed in excess, can cause gas and cramps. In younger people, the body tends to adapt more easily. But after 60, the digestive system becomes more sensitive, and any imbalance manifests more intensely. Another important detail is the amount of water consumed with the oatmeal. The fibers act like a sponge, they absorb liquid and expand. When there isn't enough water to hydrate these fibers, they end up clumping together and causing constipation, the exact opposite of what is expected. This is a common mistake, believing that simply increasing fiber intake is enough to improve gut health, when in fact, hydration is the key element. An extra glass of water with the meal can make all the difference. It's also worth remembering that every body reacts differently. For some people, introducing oatmeal should be gradual, starting with small portions until the gut adapts. This avoids discomfort and allows you to reap the benefits steadily. The problem is that many believe the more, the better, and end up overdoing it right from the start. The result is a heavy body, low energy, and even difficulty enjoying the rest of the day with enthusiasm. Furthermore, digestive stress can go beyond the physical. Constant feelings of abdominal discomfort can disrupt sleep, affect mood, and reduce motivation for simple activities. What should be a healthy choice ends up having a negative impact on overall well-being. This is an important reminder. Health is not just about the isolated food, but about how it interacts with the body at each stage of life. The good news is that adjusting oatmeal digestion is simpler than it seems. Smaller portions, proper preparation, hydration, and dietary variety are strategies that reduce unwanted effects. With these adjustments, oatmeal once again becomes a source of energy, satiety, and intestinal balance. But there is another common mistake that can go unnoticed, believing that oatmeal alone is enough to sustain a healthy diet. This overconfidence can lead to an even more dangerous imbalance. When we discover a powerful food, it's natural to want to make it the centerpiece of our diet. Oatmeal, with its reputation as a heart protector, gut regulator, and ally in healthy aging, often takes on this role. But there's a silent mistake that can turn this choice into a problem, relying too much on a single food and neglecting the diversity the body needs. It's what we call the single focus effect. After all, oatmeal doesn't contain everything. It's rich in fiber, yes, but poor in high-quality protein. It has important minerals, but not in quantities capable of sustaining bone, muscle, and immune health on its own. When the diet revolves around it, the risk is creating nutritional gaps. And after 60, these gaps weigh even more heavily. Muscle mass naturally declines with age. If protein doesn't appear on the plate, this loss accelerates, paving the way for weakness, falls, and difficulty recovering. Another critical point is the metabolic impact. By consuming too much oatmeal and ignoring other food groups, the body primarily receives carbohydrates as its main energy source. This leads to repeated glucose spikes, even though oatmeal has fibers that slow down absorption. Over time, this imbalance can increase insulin resistance and promote the accumulation of abdominal fat, exactly the opposite of what is expected when choosing this grain. What seemed like a protective measure can end up becoming a risk factor. Furthermore, the lack of variety compromises the absorption of antioxidants, vitamins, and good fats. Think, for example, of omega-3 fatty acids, found in fish and seeds, which are fundamental for the brain and joints. Or vitamin C, abundant in citrus fruits, essential for immunity. None of these nutrients are present in significant amounts in oatmeal. By neglecting this diversity, the body loses the necessary tools to defend itself against cellular aging. The psychological effect also deserves attention. Believing that a single food is sufficient creates a false sense of security. It's like putting a lock on just one door of the house, believing you're protected, while the windows remain open. Health is built in layers, with the sum of different nutrients working together. Oatmeal can be a fundamental part of this process, but it should never be the only star on the plate. Fortunately, balance is easy to restore. Just use oatmeal as a base and complement it with other foods, lean proteins, a variety of fruits, nuts, and colorful vegetables. This combination ensures stable energy, prolonged satiety, and a wider range of nutrients. These are small changes that prevent big problems in the future. But there is still another detail that few notice. The time you eat oatmeal can completely change its effects on your body. Eating it at the wrong time can turn an ally into an invisible enemy. Few people imagine it, but the time of day you eat oatmeal can determine whether it will be your ally or a hidden burden on your body. After all, the body follows an internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, which regulates digestion, hormones, and metabolism. And oatmeal, being a complex carbohydrate, interacts differently depending on when it's consumed. In the morning, for example, the body is better prepared to handle this type of energy. The metabolism is running at a faster pace, insulin sensitivity is at its peak, and digestion tends to be more efficient. It is during this period that oatmeal performs best. It provides slow-release fuel, helps maintain satiety, and stabilizes glucose levels until lunch. Therefore, for seniors, starting the day with a balanced portion of oatmeal can mean not only energy but also mental clarity and motivation for daily tasks. But at night, the story changes. Eating oatmeal for dinner or shortly before bed can disrupt your rest. As the body is already in the process of slowing down, digestion tends to be slower, which can lead to abdominal discomfort, gas, or even reflux. Furthermore, the increase in glucose at this time can interfere with the release of melatonin, a hormone essential for restorative sleep. The result is a restless, less deep night's sleep and a feeling of fatigue upon waking. Small slips like this can explain why many people wake up exhausted even after several hours of sleep. Another important detail is the relationship between nighttime oatmeal and body fat levels. Eating slow-digesting carbohydrates at night can promote the storage of energy that won't be used, as the body won't have enough activity to burn this fuel. Over time, this is reflected in the accumulation of abdominal fat and greater difficulty in maintaining a controlled weight. For those who already face challenges with a slow metabolism, this habit can be especially detrimental. The solution is simple: enjoy oatmeal during the period when the body is most active. Breakfast and mid-afternoon are ideal times. This way, it provides stable energy, improves digestion, and helps control hunger, without disrupting sleep or promoting fat accumulation. This timing adjustment, though it may seem small, can completely transform long-term results. But don't be mistaken, even if you choose the right time, there's still another common mistake that can compromise your health. It's hidden on the supermarket shelf and disguised in different packages: the choice of the type of oats. At first glance, all oatmeal looks the same. Rolled oats in bags, oat bran in containers, instant versions in colorful packets, but behind the similar appearance, each type has very different effects on the body. Ignoring these differences is another frequent mistake that compromises the benefits of the grain, especially for those over 60 who need a precise balance of energy, satiety, and metabolic health. Let's start with rolled oats, or old-fashioned oats. They undergo minimal processing, preserving the integrity of the grain. This means slower digestion, gradual release of glucose into the bloodstream, and a greater feeling of satiety. For seniors looking to manage their weight and avoid sugar spikes, this is generally the best choice. Quick cooking oats, on the other hand, are softer and easier to cook, but they digest more quickly. They can be useful for quick preparations, but they offer less glycemic stability. Oat bran, in turn, is the outer part of the grain, rich in soluble fibers, especially beta-glucans. This type is excellent for reducing cholesterol and regulating the gut, but when used in excess and without balance, it can cause abdominal discomfort. It's like a powerful medicine, it needs the right dose to be beneficial. Then there's instant oatmeal, which is ultra-processed and the most problematic. To make preparation easier, it's pre-cooked and rolled so thinly that it loses some of its fiber and nutrients. The result is a very rapid absorption, almost comparable to white bread or a sweet cookie. Add the sugars and flavorings that usually come with it, and what little health benefit remained is lost. Another important detail is to read the labels. Many brands offer flavored oatmeal with chocolate, honey, or sweetened dried fruits. These options contain additives, colorings, and generous amounts of hidden sugar. It's easy to fall into the marketing trap, believing you're getting a functional food when, in reality, it's closer to a sugary breakfast cereal. This slip-up can be especially harmful for seniors who already need to control their glucose, cholesterol, and blood pressure. Knowing how to choose the right type of oats makes all the difference. A simple switch from the instant version to rolled oats or oat bran can reduce glycemic spikes, improve intestinal transit, and increase satiety. It's a simple adjustment, but one with a huge impact on quality of life. The secret is to know the options and not be fooled by convenience or flashy packaging. However, even if you choose the right type, there's still another detail that can compromise your health: the quantity. Because even the best version of oatmeal, when consumed in excess, can stop being a remedy and become a poison. The scene is common: someone decides to adopt oatmeal as part of their routine and, full of enthusiasm, fills the bowl to the brim. The logic seems simple: if a little is good, a lot must be better. But this reasoning is deceptive. As with any other food, quantity is the determining factor in whether oatmeal will be an ally or a problem. And after the age of 60, this difference becomes even more critical, because the metabolism no longer handles excess in the same way. In terms of calories, oatmeal is dense. A full cup can easily exceed 300 calories, and that's without counting the toppings. When you add fruits, seeds, or sweeteners, the value can double. For those looking to maintain or lose weight, this detail goes unnoticed and ends up sabotaging results. Instead of helping with control, an oversized portion leads to a gradual gain in abdominal fat, which is precisely the most dangerous for the heart and metabolic health. Another point is the glycemic impact. Although oatmeal has fibers that slow absorption, large quantities still significantly raise blood glucose. The body needs to release more insulin to compensate, and this process repeated several times a day can overload the pancreas. Over time, the risk of insulin resistance increases. In older people, this overload is even more sensitive, as the efficiency of organs naturally declines. The ideal portion is usually smaller than what many people imagine. On average, 3 to 5 tablespoons are enough to make a balanced meal. This amount provides fiber, energy, and nutrients without excess. The secret is to see oatmeal as part of the dish, not the whole dish. When combined with lean proteins, fresh fruits, or plain yogurt, the right amount does its job without overwhelming the body. It's also important to consider frequency. Eating oatmeal at every meal, even in moderate portions, can still lead to a caloric excess. Alternating with other whole grains, like quinoa, chia, or flaxseed, brings variety and balance. This ensures more complete nutrition and avoids the single focus effects we've already discussed. It's curious to note how excess is almost never noticed. People tend to blame themselves for sugar, bread, or fried foods, but rarely suspect the excessive amount of something healthy. This is one of the biggest paradoxes of modern nutrition, trusting a food so much that all sense of proportion is lost. The body, however, feels the weight of this excess. And here's an even more neglected detail: it's not just the amount of oatmeal that matters, but also what's missing alongside it. Eating only oatmeal, without quality protein, can be as serious a mistake as overdoing the portion size. There is a mistake as common as it is dangerous, believing that oatmeal, by itself, is capable of sustaining a complete meal. The warm bowl may seem sufficient, but it's missing a key ingredient to balance the dish: protein. This oversight, repeated daily, has profound effects on the body, especially for those over 60 who need to take care of their muscle mass, glycemic control, and satiety. Without protein, oatmeal has an effect similar to other carbohydrates: it raises blood glucose quickly. The fibers slow down this rise a bit, but they can't hold back the impact for long. The body responds by releasing excess insulin, which leads to sharp drops in energy. The result is early hunger, fatigue, and an almost irresistible urge to snack throughout the day. For those trying to maintain their weight and avoid diabetes, this cycle is dangerous. Furthermore, protein is essential for preserving and rebuilding muscles. After 60, the natural process of muscle loss, called sarcopenia, accelerates. If a meal doesn't provide the necessary building blocks, the body can't maintain strength or mobility. The risk of falls increases, recovery from minor injuries becomes slower, and daily vitality decreases. It's like trying to build a house without bricks: no matter how much you insist, it won't stand. Another little remembered point is satiety. Proteins, along with good fats, prolong the feeling of satisfaction after a meal. Without them, oatmeal behaves like a short-lived flame: it ignites quickly, provides warmth for a few minutes, and then quickly dies out. The consequence is a constant search for more food, which overloads the digestive system and contributes to weight gain. This explains why many seniors, even when eating correctly, still feel hungry shortly after a meal. But the good news is that the adjustment is simple. Small additions can make a difference: plain yogurt, low-fat milk, scrambled eggs, or seeds like chia and flaxseed complement oatmeal in a balanced way. Even a handful of nuts or almonds can provide good fats and proteins that complete the dish. The secret is not to abandon oatmeal, but to use it as the base of a meal that truly nourishes all the body's needs. This care, in addition to improving nutrition, helps stabilize energy throughout the day and protects cognitive functions. After all, the brain also depends on the balance between glucose and proteins to work at its best. In other words, a well-assembled bowl of oatmeal can be fuel for both the body and the mind. Now that you know the main mistakes and how to avoid them, the most important question remains: how to truly turn oatmeal into an ally for longevity, without falling into any of these traps. After going through every detail, it's clear oatmeal is not just a food, it's a powerful tool. But like any tool, it can build or destroy, depending on how it's used. Throughout this journey, we've seen how seemingly small mistakes, hidden sugar, instant versions, oversized portions, lack of protein, improper timing, can turn an ally into a silent enemy. And we've also seen that with simple adjustments, it's possible to reap all the benefits this grain has to offer. The key lies in balance. Choosing less processed versions, like rolled oats or oat bran. Preparing it carefully, by soaking or cooking it well to release nutrients and avoid discomfort. Adjusting the portion, remembering that less can be more when seeking long-term health. combining it with proteins and good fats, creating a complete meal that nourishes both body and mind. And, of course, respecting the body's biological clock, taking advantage of the times of day when oatmeal really works in your favor. These considerations make all the difference for those over 60. The heart is grateful, the gut works better, energy levels stabilize, and even memory seems to get a boost. Instead of being just a routine habit, oatmeal becomes part of a larger strategy to live with vitality, prevent diseases, and enjoy every stage of life with clarity and enthusiasm. This is the true power of food as medicine. The most beautiful part is that none of these changes require great sacrifices. It's not about radical diets or impossible cuts, but about awareness and intelligent choices. A spoonful less, a fresh fruit instead of sugar, a protein on the side of the plate, an extra glass of water. Small details that, when added up, have the power to transform your health from the inside out. And it is precisely in the details that the secret to longevity is hidden. Now, the invitation is for you to reflect. How have you been eating your oatmeal? Are you falling into any of these traps, or have you already started applying some of the solutions? Every adjustment made today is a gift to your future self. The decision is in your hands, and the impact can be felt in every heartbeat, in every lighter step, in every night of peaceful sleep. This journey is about discovering simple, practical, and scientific ways to live longer and better. Because taking care of your body is not a burden, it's a privilege, and oatmeal, when used the right way, can be one of the symbols of that choice.